America utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it? As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom? It's worth it. How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, created by whom? We, the people of the United States, we, the people of the world, via the magic of, or actually what we paid for with ARPANET. Controlled now by the billionaires, but folks, we are intent on taking back what's ours. But without further ado, we enter the studios of the geniuses, El Señor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
And we want it back. Give it here.
Yes.
Fork over that internet, man.
Yes.
Yes, it is a minute after 6 o'clock on Friday, the 16th of May, 2025. And Jack and I are here, the Tin Cans and Stringer holding up. It's going to be a good day. You've got a good show ahead of you. And Jack has a full page of wisdom here. So let's get to that.
Good morning,
Brother, good morning, my dear brother Jack. How you doing today, sir?
Yeah, I'm going to try to do a caveman deal kind of on your...
Oh, no.
Yes.
No. The caveman is here today.
Trump bad. World faith in America bad. Elon Musk bad. DOGE bad. Fails to find significant fraud but makes fraudulent claims. DOGE worse. Reduces efficiency of Social Security by 25%. Bruce Springsteen good. He honest with England fans about evil of Trump administration. Trump is hurting own base MAGA, stripping support of purchasing power, demand for U.S. products down, hurting manufacturing and farming. Capital fleeing to Asia and Europe for investment, collapsing price earnings could wipe out retirement savings. So Trump bad, really bad for America. Springsteen good though.
Spoken like a true caveman.
I love it, caveman.
It's so simple, even a caveman can do it.
It was just too much for me to bear. I just had to put some comedy in there.
You did a good job. Wasn't that a commercial? It's so something even a caveman could do it.
Oh yeah, it was a Geico commercial.
Geico, that's what it was.
And it was SNL skit.
Well, they had a short-lived series. A short-lived series called The
Caveman Lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember it also. I remember the way he looked. He had that kind of thick and that thick ear, that Cro-Magnon. Yeah, exactly right. I love that. Anyway, guys, you made my day. You know, even though we have not. You know what? I'm going to tell folks. Let's stay with the positive, because we are going to turn the negative into the positive. But hey. First of all, welcome aboard Joe from Los Angeles, California. Eric from Kingwood at Escocita. Lisa Blair from Atlanta is in the house. Those are on the chat side of, I think those are from YouTube and Facebook. We have also Margaret Ryan on Facebook and Margaret Ryan on the Substack. Good morning, Margaret Ryan. Margaret, where are you from again? We have LBW on. I know LBW is from Kingwood. We also have Ian Colquhoun. We have Mac from Appalachia. Hey guys, I talk about Appalachia a lot. I love my Appalachia people, man. Anyway, Sandy Hartzell, Rose McVeigh, Joanne Lindbergh, Jennifer Hunter, Jeannie Talmadge. Welcome aboard, Jennifer Hunter. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. I'm going to start with the bad things. Walmart prices are going up. Walmart, the bastion of MAGA. Walmart, the bastion of the working class. Prices are going up. Are they going up because there's regular standard inflation? No, sir. No, ma'am. They're going up because there's this thing called a tariff. Critics seize on impending Walmart price hikes due to Trump tariffs. Democratic lawmakers and other voices are highlighting a Thursday announcement from Walmart that the world's largest retailer will have to raise prices on some items in response to tariffs in order to heap criticisms on the Trump administration's tariffs regime. This was written by Eloise Goldsmith. Eloise, why did you say on some items? You should say on virtually all items. Because if you go to a Walmart, I would challenge you to find a product not made in where again? I'll challenge you to find a product not made in China, Vietnam, Guatemala, or all these other places. I challenge you. Think about it. I challenge you. And the baseline tariff is what again? 10%. So therefore, prices go up by, it won't be 10% because of two factors, right? The tariff is on the side of is on the raw price. It's on the what you call the I forgot what you call that price. Anyway, the price before you tag on your profit said to that. So it's on the base price. So it's not going to be quite 10% of the retail price, but it's going to be an increase in price. We will do our best to keep our prices as low as possible. But given the magnitude of tariffs, even at the reduced levels announced this week, we aren't able to absorb all the pressure given the reality of narrow retail margins, said Walmart CEO Doug McMillon on Thursday's earnings call. The higher tariffs will result in higher prices. We knew this was coming, said Senator Andy Kim of New Jersey. U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs will leave working families with the bill. The Trump administration has imposed a 10% global tariffs on all goods entering the United States and imposed higher tariffs on products coming from China. And of course, we know between Canada and Mexico, there are certain things that are coming in at 25%. So you should be ready to see those avocados and those tomatoes, etc. They're going to gradually increase those prices for you. And I'm going to go into a little bit more what that really means, right? Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Jamie Raskin used the Walmart news as a way to plug their recently introduced legislation, the Truth in Tariffs Act, which would require large retailers to display how much of an item's price stems from tariffs. These tariffs are just a tax hike on consumers, and that is so true. The White House may not respond kindly to Walmart's announcement. And why is that? Because don't forget when Amazon tried to display tariff based prices, the increase next to the price of the products online, White House Secretary Carolyn Leavitt called such a move a hostile and political act. In other words, in the Trump administration, telling the truth is a hostile and political act. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Now, telling the truth, telling the news is a hostile political act. Madre mía, no, nunca podría creer que esto podría pasar. I would have never thought this was a possibility. After Walmart's announcement, Citizens United, a campaign finance reform group, wrote, every day it becomes more clear that this promise to lower costs was merely a lie he told voters on the campaign trail. He doesn't work for us. He works for himself and his deep-pocketed donors. You know, yes, it's a lie. Kathleen Voss, welcome. Gayla Kunis, I know you're from, I think, Atlanta. Nora Goodlow, Lillian Ornstrom, and Jamie Burt, welcome aboard. Now, look, let me tell you why this is upsetting to me, especially for what we call the apologists of this administration. These are more than sycophants, these are apologists. And let me explain why. Every time you support one of these policies, you are saying, I enjoy having an enslaved mind. And let me explain why. We are, and it is upsetting so much because what happens is in a democracy, we depend on each other. We depend on each other to do the right thing or the wrong thing. And in this case, many have done the wrong thing. But they they are writing budgetary policies right now. And to pay the bill, by the way, to pay the bill in a very tight Congress, in other words, a Congress that is almost 50-50, you can't get any bills through that doesn't have consensus unless the bill you're putting through is done through a process called reconciliation, which means you cannot technically add to the deficit from that bill. In other words, you can't increase the deficit with the bill that you're writing, which means if you're writing a bill that only requires 50% of the 50% plus one of the vote, you have to make it relatively budget neutral. Okay? Doesn't say that you can't make it that it can't pay for itself, but you can increase on before. And that's what they're doing. So what they have to show is they have to show that there's other streams of revenue to pay for what they want to do. And again, it's a closed system. So what do they have to do? They have to find monies. And they're not going to find monies by taxing wealthy people, which is what they should do, right? Wealthy people have gotten there on your excess labor. In other words, if I'm a business person, I hire somebody, I make a deal with that person I hire, they take the job, and they work very hard. And when they've worked very hard, the product that they make, I make a profit from that product. Under capitalism, I make a deal. Capitalism is about contracts. I make a deal with the employee, which is I'll pay you X amount of money every month or every week or whatever. You make a product, you give us a service, and whatever I profit from that service or product, I keep. Doesn't matter if I paid you $10 to create a product. After I fire you or whatever, that product is mine, unless you had the power to create your own patent and have your own rights, and most Americans don't. So you create your intellect. When I was an engineer for Daniel or Lockheed or NASA or whatever, Ford Aerospace through NASA, etc., everything that I created was owned by the company that I worked for under NASA. All right, so I created the transport interface module. The transport interface module was a pretty neat thing that allowed many computers to talk over TCP/IP with, so that there was one interface. I could take that, which was my set that came out of my intellect. I couldn't take that TIFM module that I created and go sell it to, let's say, SpaceX or any other company. I couldn't. Capitalism said that I was enslaved to my employer, who, after I left that company, marketed TIFM ad nauseum. Every spaceship, every whatever, had that particular module, and they made the profit from it. The shareholders of Ford Aerospace made the profit on that over and over and again. I went and I worked for somebody else, and I sold myself to another company until I woke up and formed my own company and did all the stuff myself. That's how the system works. People may say, well, that's our system. You can say that. But anyway, that's how it works for the average person going out there to do the job. So now it would be prudent for the persons who profit from the excess labor of others, the excess intellect of others, whatever these other people create. It would be prudent to say those are the people that should be taxed at a higher value, because they are pretty much making money over and over and again for not doing anything. They're working on the leftovers, the residue of others. But that's not how it works. That's not what the budgetary process is doing in Congress right now. What they're saying is, no. Those people that made all their money off the backs of others, we are going to give them even more. We are going to give them a tax cut. But we have to find the money in when we're doing reconciliation to pay it. So what are all the different ways that they decided to pay it? It's all on MAGA's back. My back too, our back, every working class back. But the reason I specify MAGA is because they thought they were getting tips, tax cut on tips. They thought they were getting a whole lot of stuff. They thought they were getting reduced prices. All these things Trump told them they were getting. So here's what they're getting. That Walmart price hike that I just said there, it's attributed solely to the tariff. What that means is when MAGA person number one goes into Walmart and pays more for tomatoes and pay more for ketchup and pays more for cabbage and pays more for that sheet, that towel, whatever, that money doesn't, that goes, that extra price that it costs is the tariff that the United States government is taxing you for. And then the United States takes that money that you, the working class, MAGA, and everybody pays to Walmart. They take that money, and you know that employer, the Ford Aerospace and the Lockheed and all these NASA companies and all these oil companies, all the shareholders of these companies, they immediately get that money that Walmart took away from you and gave to the government, and the government then gives that money to whom? To that rich person in the form of a tax return, a tax cut. And for that, that's not the only way they're getting the money. Not only by raising the price in the Walmart store, in the Target store, in the Costco store, in the all these stores that they're raising the money. Those are not the only ways that they raise the money. They also had to look straight in the eyes of my brothers and sisters in Appalachia who are more dependent on Medicaid than anyone else around the country. Appalachia, Alabama, Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, the bastion of MAGAism. They are more dependent on Medicaid, SNAP, and all these programs than anyone else, even as they work. It's not like people in Louisiana are lazy. They're not. They're hard-working people. People in Mississippi, hard-working people. But these are states that they don't have good worker rights, etc. That's why you see corporations are running to build factories down there because they don't have to pay as much, right? So what we find is that the people in Louisiana are sicker. The people in Texas are sicker. The people in Alabama are sicker. The people in Appalachia are sicker. They are less educated. All these things are true because their conservative government made the concerted effort that we do not invest in people. People are widget. People are indentured servants bordering on slaves. It's a new form of slavery, which I call antiseptic slavery. I mean, and the reason I call it antiseptic is you don't even know it's happening to you, right? You don't even know how they're profiting from you. But they found a way to do it in such a manner to include a smile. To include a smile. And sorry, guys, on the phone, on the screen, I had the phone for the afternoon. I'm fixing that right now. Now the correct phone number is on the screen. So that's what they do. So Walmart is how they're gonna the price increase on Walmart goes straight to the rich person. The price increase on the price increase, or rather the cut in your Medicaid, that's how they're paying for it. Donald Trump came up with a gimmick this week as well, where he said, we are lowering drug prices, and when the CBO is scoring the budget, they better include that I am reducing the price of drugs as well. They're not. They're not reducing the price of drugs. They're suggesting to the drug companies to do it, but there's no teeth in the executive order that gives Donald Trump any power to reduce the drug prices. So there are all kind of gimmicks. There are also some gimmicks in there that says, Lauren, who just attempted to call, please use the number 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. The number that was on the screen earlier is for the afternoon show. All right, so here's the deal, folks. I fixed that, by the way. Here's the deal. You have to decide. You have to decide if you want to remain an indentured servant by allowing these politicians to play with you, to look at you and say, you're not that very smart, because we are making these tax cuts permanent, but the little things that we're doing for the middle class expires as soon as Donald Trump leaves office. And then it's up to the next government to try to institute them and find the money to institute them. So to make this budget balance, what we are going to do is we're going to first make everything that we do for the rich people permanent. It is permanent. But all the little gimmicks that we're going to try to give to the middle class and the poor and the working class, we're going to make it temporary. And then the next administration, it ends with Trump when he leaves office. And then the next administration, they can work on finishing it up and helping the middle class and the working class if they can find the money to do it. Look, this is sinister, this is evil, this is lying. And anybody who calls me today and tell me somehow give this person a chance, I'm going to say you need to give yourself a chance. You need to make sure and think things through. You need to make sure and educate yourself. Because if you don't educate yourself, you don't only harm yourself, you harm all of us. The people who put Donald Trump in power harmed us all. Now, before I get to the phones, I want you to hear two things. The first thing I want you, and so it's going to be a while before I get to the phone because I've got to get these out. First, there are lies that DOGE went ahead and somehow found fraud in Social Security. Well, the actual data is out. Let's talk about it.
It's time for a quick progress report on one of Donald Trump and his best buddy Elon Musk's favorite pet projects. That is uncovering supposed fraud in Social Security, especially when it comes to their phone lines. I mean, remember Musk claims 40% of all calls into Social Security are made by fraudsters. 40%, that's what he claims. And so last month, the Social Security Administration set out to catch all these fraudsters and installed anti-fraud checks for all claims made over the phone. And guess what? The results are in. Since then, they've received over 110,000 calls, and their fancy new fraud-catching software found, drumroll please, two, that's right. According to an internal document obtained by NextGov, under the new policy, the agency found that only 2 benefit claims out of over 110,000 had a high probability of being fraudulent, and they aren't guaranteed to be so. If my math's correct, that totals to 0.0018%, not exactly 40%, but who's counting? Well, we are. That's why we had to share this. And even better, they managed to slow down retirement claim processing by 25% along the way, leading to, quote, a degradation of public service. Great job, team. Helpful and efficient as usual.
In other words, yet another fraud. DOGE was a failure. They claimed they were going to save $2 trillion. Then they reduced it to $1 trillion. They claimed they saved $100 billion. No one can find the $150 billion that they saved. Yet they went ahead and caused a whole lot of chaos by firing and then having to hire again and firing folks. Made absolutely no sense. But the one thing they were successful on is stealing all of your data. Welcome aboard, Lisa Blair from Atlanta. We also have Margaret Ryan. We have Jacqueline Campishi from Katy. Welcome aboard as well. I saw Zone Stamper. Zone Stamper says, I'm a conservative, Donald. I'm not. A lot of liberals are confused as MAGA conservatives. They don't get it. It's not a political issue. Donald is a con man. Hello. Well, I want you to call in, Zone Stomper. Let's talk about it. I want you to call in and tell the audience that, because your help is needed. As a MAGA person speaking, I need you. So give me a call, 713-526-5738. Let's see. Let's go to Lauren on line number 5. Lauren, how are you doing, my dear sister?
Good morning, Alberto.
Good morning. Talk to me.
Well, I heard you talking about the Walmart statement, and I think it is just so rich that they say that they're unable to absorb these tariffs because they absolutely are able to absorb the tariffs. They just refuse to because their stakeholders will be super mad if they actually pass those tariffs on to them because as they say, a little pain we should endure, but when they say we should endure, they only mean us, the working class, like me, a teacher. My husband and I are both teachers. We paid more in federal taxes this year than, Elon Musk did, than Jeff Bezos did, than, anybody who makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So when they say they're not able to absorb the taxes, that means that just they're not willing to because they make billions with a B in profits for their stakeholders annually, and they continue to pay their, employees a living wage. They work them 39 and a half hours a week and don't give them benefits, so they have to have, Medicaid and SNAP and all the things that they're trying to cut. I just wish people could see what's really happening before they really have to feel the true pain of what this administration is going to cause. But I guess we'll just have to wait and they'll have to see. And then hopefully we'll still have elections by the time they figure it out next time.
Now, Lauren, first of all, you and your husband, love you guys. I write a lot, and one of the people that I have the most respect for are teachers. You guys are the ones who move knowledge forward. So thank you for doing what you're doing. In Panama, where I'm originally from, teachers are like the bastion of society. You see a teacher in a grocery store, you stand at attention, something that is sorely missing here for the most important profession, bar none. You guys are the ones who move knowledge forward. Secondly, yes, Walmart is just another capitalist company, as you pointed out, and I already blame Walmart for all the things that they've done, and you articulated it well. 39.5 hours a week, so that they don't have to pay as a full-time person, etc. But ultimately, the delta, the price increase, it is the Trump administration that is at fault for that increase in costs to all of us. And I want to make sure that we don't lose sight of, yeah, Walmart bad, administration terrible and horrendous, and they're the ones doing the guilt, the thing, against them. Uh, Americans don't have price and power, as you alluded to. So you're absolutely right. Anything, Lauren, that you want to add?
No, I just appreciate what you're doing, and I'm trying to share. I'm LBW on Substack, by the way.
Oh, thank you, LBW. How you doing? Great.
I'm doing okay, but I'm here locally, and I haven't discovered you until this year when I started actually joined Substack, and I was very excited to find out that you're here in the local area, and I'm trying to share your message as much as I can on Substack, and I just encourage people who do listen and who read widely like I do, like Heather Cox Richardson and Tim Snyder and all of these brilliant minds who are trying to sound the alarm, that don't only just consume those articles for yourself and for your own knowledge and edification, but please share to your timelines, push the message, because the right side is flooding the zone with disinformation every single day. And I feel like we are trying to educate ourselves, but we are keeping it to ourselves a lot of times, and we're not spreading the message. And I don't understand if people are scared to be, that left-leaning friend in the friend group, which I understand, especially in this area. But, you are on the right side of history, and feel confident in the fact that you are on the right side of history. And when all this shakes down, people will understand. They might not understand currently, but they will understand at some point. And don't be afraid to be the voice of reason and to be that person who sheds light on the egregious things that this regime they're trying to accomplish.
Man, I love you. Teachers. You see why I love teachers so much? Who could have said that any better? and what she knows how to move knowledge forward. That's why I write what I write. She knows how to move knowledge forward. Your students are a lucky bunch. Thank you so kindly, Lauren.
Thank you, Egberto. Have a great day.
You too now. All right, folks, let's go to brother Donald. Come on in, Donald.
Good morning, Alberto. Now, how would you have thought? I know one day you didn't walk out of your house, look up at an airplane, and say, I want to know I'm going to make that communicate with that, and that. Without exposure, you wouldn't have intellectual property. You saw a problem, and you came up with a solution.
Yes, sir.
And without people to have the capital to make all this happen, you were just a cog in the machine. Why should you deserve anything extra? You get paid to sit in there in your air-conditioned office and do drawings and subroutines and all this other stuff. What makes you think you deserve a piece of the pie? You didn't put anything up to build the company.
Oh, you're being so sarcastic. Yeah, I love you. You see what? No, why the hell did you ever call yourself a MAGA? You think too well, brother. What's wrong with you?
Hey, why don't you come up with some good ideas? They'll give you a $250 gift certificate to Academy and Walmart, and you be happy with that. How dare you even ask for anything more? You are ungrateful. Without them coming up with the big ideas, you would not have anything.
Hey, love you, Donald. You have a good one. I know
yes,
Patrick is gonna have to respond to you, man. Patrick's gonna have to respond to you. You take care, brother. All right, let's go to brother Bruce. Come on in, Bruce.
Good morning, Alberto. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I am waiting for your smart aleck comment, my friend.
Okay, well, first off, I want to give thanks to you, to Howard, Jack, to Neil, and some of the callers. When it comes to economics, I'm basically an economic Forrest Gump, and I learn a lot just listening and not talking. What I was upset about is when I heard a couple callers using the Statue of Liberty as their way to get around the emolument clause. Read what's printed on the base of the Statue of Liberty and tell me how that has anything to do with Trump's beliefs. Bad example to use. I am offended that they used that example. And then my smart aleck remark for the day is, you remember that picture, unfortunately, that we've all seen of Donald Trump on a tennis court in the white shorts with the big butt sticking out? He's simply showing us where we can shove that plane. I'm done.
Thank you, Bruce. You have a wonderful rest of your day, sir. All right, let's go to Harry, my brother Harry. How you doing? Give your brother my regards, Harry. Okay, but we need to go a little quicker today, Harry.
Okay, Alan's doing well, and good morning, Howard. Good morning, Jack. Feliz viernes. Hoy celebramos de cumpleaños automatos Alberto Willis and Harry Denson.
Oh,
you know what
man, you know something? You did your homework, man. My birthday is Sunday. You did your homework, brother. I love you, man. And you know what? Your Spanish was so darn good. Anyway, talk to me. I got to take you up because I got Lester, Peter, and Bard. Go ahead.
All right. There's another, what you were talking about earlier with the anti-Semitic slavery, and what Lauren, the other caller, was talking about, what you were talking about with Walmart, with these off the taxpayer. There's another word for that, phrase, kickback. Kickback to the shareholder, off the taxpayer's back, kickback to the executive. That's what this administration is doing to us. And the other thing that you mentioned, when you said give Trump a chance, we gave Trump a chance in 2017. I mean, I didn't vote for him, but he was president before. And as the caller Bruce was talking about the emolument clause, I don't know if Lester understands this, but the reason we don't want our president accepting gifts, and the framers set this up, I went back and looked all this up, they don't want the executor doing coercion, doing corruption to other countries in order to curry favor. And that's what they did in 2017 when you wanted Giuliani to go over there to Ukraine and try to browbeat Vladimir Zelensky,
Yeah.
Zelensky into look. If I'm going to give you missiles, I want something. And
Right.
we voted the president in to work for us, not for his own selfish purposes.
Thank
I don't
you.
know if Lester understands that with the plane
Thank
and
you.
all that. That's why we
Harry.
don't curry favor and do corruption and coercion.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
brother.
weekend, guys.
You too, my brother. And we'll talk to you on the chat at 3 o'clock. Let's go, brother Lester. Come on in.
Okay, first of all, I want to apologize to you for what my behavior yesterday. I got mad love for you, brother.
No
I got
apologies needed, Lester. No apologies. You notice, everybody, doesn't matter how, you always have a voice here. Talk.
Okay. First of all, when I hear y'all talking about health insurance and all this stuff, Medicare, when I go to the Dr. Egberto, my doctor is the public park or the gymnasium where I work out. When I go get my prescription refilled, I go to the produce section of HEB. I load up on my vegetables and my fruit and my water. And then I wanted to say this about Mr. Trump. Okay, I think even my number one groupie, the 68-year-old guy, the Trinity Garden Steve, I'm not a Trump guy. I don't think Donald Trump is a good person, but it is what it is. He's president. So what we gonna do instead of calling a radio station complaining about him? He's not going nowhere. So that's why I say pray for the guy. That's
Okay,
all
I hear you. Lester,
happy birthday, huh?
Thank you. Lester, hold on. Let me just say this, okay? And I want everybody to hear this. People have to have a place to also know that they're being listened to and to put their thoughts out. We're a community station and a community sounding board. And just like I disagree with you and many disagree with you, we want to have that community spot that we can all, kind of air our things out as human beings without blowing each other's head off or fighting each other. That's what this forum is supposed to be. Notice you've cussed me out on air and you're still back here talking to me and we talk. That's what we do. We're human beings. So first of all, that's what I want to say. Secondly, I want to commend you on the way that you eat, the way that you go out there and do things. And that is great. Everybody, first of all, doesn't have the education to know what to eat, number one, just like many don't have the education to understand how Donald Trump is screwing them. That's why we are here. That's why you are there. A lot of people would have just learned from you. Maybe I need to eat a little bit better. Now you can learn some other things from others as well. Have a wonderful day, my brother Lester, and we'll talk next week. All right, let's go ahead and bring Peter into the discussion.
Thank you, Roberto, and nice to be back with you this morning. I am Peter. I'm your Democratic candidate. I'm running in the special election, District 18, and I had a few questions for you this morning, Egberto, related to my campaign. Now, so let me be clear. I have 3 planks that I'm most interested in, and the first one is biofuel. So, as you know, when we have more supply as far as energy, that could be turbines or just engines. So I'd like to work towards that goal, getting biofuels into the mix, having more supply. As you know, we have more supply as far as electricity, and producing energy for our cars, electricity for our homes. Do you think that's a good idea to, like, for example, get Houston as one of the premier cities, or introducing this?
Look, we want good ideas, and we want ideas in the framework. And by the way, biofuels, there's some discussion whether it's green energy. I think it is. A lot of folks are concerned about, well, anything that burn isn't. Well, since it's recyclable, I think it is. What's your second point, your second and third point? Because I got to move on, my dear brother Peter.
Thank you, because that's something I would invest in, and make us a burgeoning city in that technology. Second point is creosote. So, as you know, to treat telephone poles, to treat railroad ties, creosote was used. It's a wood preservator, but it's very cancerous. So, as we know, the cancer clusters, say in Kashmir Gardens and Houston's Fifth Ward, that's the source of it. So, if we had the ability to warm it up, heat it up, extract it, what are your thoughts on that? Is that something like the
Yeah,
EPA or the
no, I
pressure
didn't
on
know. I didn't know how
users?
the remediation was, but it seems like you know more about that than I do. I know the creosote is cancerous. I never knew what the remediation involved. I think you're telling me heating up and I guess to turn it into a volatile gas and throw it into the air. What does that mean for the rest of the people? I don't know. I am not educated on that in that regards. But I imagine you're doing your research. Give me your third point.
Yeah, so that's something else I would work towards because if something can be prevented, that's my plan to remedy that situation. The creosote that's coming from the Houston Railroad, rail yards, and I've asked you this point before about cannabis just unscheduling because a lot of police work these days. We have pseudo legalization of cannabis in Texas, as you know, with the Texas hemp bill. So, so for example, if we were to just completely unschedule the cannabis or marijuana, what are your thoughts on that? Like less police
I
work?
think that's a must. I think it's a must. First of all, the drug that has caused the most damage medically, injures the most or whatever, it's called alcohol, and that is legal. If alcohol is legal, marijuana should be legal. I mean, it doesn't take much brain. All of this is because what corporations want. If alcohol is legal, marijuana ought to be legal. And by the way, I don't drink and I don't smoke marijuana, and I am for legalizing the thing. Okay.
Well, that's
Anyway,
what I'll be working towards. Egberto, you can count on me.
all right,
Peter
Peter.
Hillard,
Thank you for
JT,
calling
my
in. And
friend.
and by the way, Peter is also you're a teacher and an engineer, correct?
That's correct. So I spend my days working and here in the campaign trail in the mornings at night, and I just want to represent our district. With
Thank you, brother.
ethics. That's what I'm all about. The voice of the people.
Appreciate you, brother. You have a great one. All right, let's go to brother Jimmy. Come on in, Jimmy.
Good morning, Egberto. I'm going to explain how the tariffs work with Walmart. Here's an example. Walmart buys computers from a Chinese company for $100 and resells them to the public for $200. Now, with the tariff in there, they're going to have to pay $130. $30. China pays $30 to the U.S. government, and Walmart now has to pay $130 to China to buy that computer, and they'll have to raise the price of it by $30. So they will now sell it for $230. That's how it works. China paid a $30 tariff to the U.S. government, and Walmart can't absorb that. They've got to charge the public for that tariff on top of the
it's a little bit different than that, Jimmy. It's a little bit different. When China Walmart imports that computer, that computer comes in a container and goes to the docks in LA or wherever it goes. When Walmart goes to pick up that container, they have to pay the United States government. China is not a part of this at all. China is not a part of the thing at all. When the United States impose, I'm absolutely sure. When the United States imposes a tariff on China, all it means is that any product coming from China is taxed by the United States government at that rate. So the container comes to the port of LA. When Walmart goes to pick up that container, Walmart then gives the government that $30 on that $100 container, and Walmart increases the price that it sells that to the American people by whatever they don't absorb, and more than likely they'll absorb nothing. In fact, what most companies do is they put a premium onto the extra amount that they were charged in tariffs. So that tariff was $30. Maybe that gives Walmart an excuse to increase the price to $40. Since they're increasing the price, they're going to do it all in one bang. And that is the experience that everybody has seen from tariffs, from when it caused the depression back or extended the depression back in the 1930s to when it did it in, I think it was 18 something or whatever. So tariffs is altogether done wrongly. Again, there are right ways to use tariffs, Jimmy, but this isn't across the board. Tariffs is simply the wrong way to do it, and we're going to pay. We're already paying the price for that. So, but anyway, Jimmy, thank you. Anything else you want to answer?
Well, so I just wanted to kind of simplify it for the public as to money's going and how much. Usually the retailer doubles the price of what they pay for a wholesale item. So a $100 computer would be selling for $200, but now it's going to be selling for $230 at least.
Right, exactly. At least I'm glad that you used the word at least. But thank you, brother Brian. We'll see you at the meeting on Saturday, brother. Have a good one.
So Walmart was right about the prices going up.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, brother. Peace. All right, let's go to was Bart or Brian first? Let's go to Brian.
Good morning.
Good morning,
this statement goes out to Howard. Yeah, this statement goes out to Howard. He needs to look up the Houston Chronicle. Headline is Cleveland Hospital opens doors after 3-year closure. You want to look that up, Howard? Okay, yeah, well, go ahead and try to get back to me by the end of the program.
No, I'll get back to you right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and look it up in the Chronicle. You were saying, when did the Cleveland Hospital close? It was the day before, Brian. It was
time.
Did you not? We weren't talking about the first time. You didn't specify that. You said, when did it close?
Yes, and I'm bringing up the point right now. It was 2014 when it closed originally, wasn't it?
Well, you didn't say originally.
It's such a disaster now, isn't it?
You have to be specific, Brian.
No, but you know what? Here's the thing, Howard. We can't move on because we can't because I need to let the public know this very well. Takes the bill for the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care passed in 2010. Okay, now when that bill passed, Texas was one of the few states that did, or one of the red states that did not take the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, which was given to the people free of charge for the first 3 years, and thereafter the state was responsible for 10%. Texas said no because it's ideological scent and because its politicians are thugs and criminals. That's number one. Number two, the hospital closed because Texas did not accept the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act in 2014. After it reopened, it had to close for the same reason again. So, Brian, I have no idea, my brother, why you're trying to muddle things up by trying to get to Howard with that statement. It made absolutely no sense. And what I constantly tell you is stop trying to find faults and do the right thing. You, as a person who works, your president, I'm not done. Your president, who you hired, is screwing you. Now you can speak, my brother.
No, he is not. No, he is not. That was done for financial mismanagement from the hospital itself.
Where's your proof,
Medicare
Brian?
Expansion.
You need proof.
He doesn't have it, right? Because he doesn't have it because again, he doesn't have it. Sir, I'm not arguing with you. Again, we're stating facts on this show. You're being conjectural. It's over. You're being screwed. The mere fact that you're going to pay more at Walmart, even though your Führer told you weren't, means you're getting screwed. You just can't accept it. Let's go to Tag. Come on in, Tag.
You know, I see the Homeland Security, and Chrissy Noem's kind of upset because ex-director Comey posted a picture that of 8647 had some threat to Trump. I don't know if you saw that picture. It's pretty interesting.
I didn't, but I'll go look it up, or you can drop it in my my chat. You normally drop me a few things in your chat.
Here's the real issue: is that there are a lot of judges right now getting pizzas as a threat, and there was a judge on last night whose son was murdered, and when the pizzas are delivered, it's got his name on these pizza boxes that are going out to these judges. Now, there's something that Homeland Security should be investigating. So, with that, I'm going to go, Egberto. Have a good day.
Thank you, my brother. Tag, have a good one. Welcome aboard, Diane Middleton. If I catch you while you're coming in, I can actually call you out. And Candace White, Peggy Armstrong, Two Eyes Open, and Laura Twatter. Thank you for being here. And in the chat, of course, love you, Joe. Who else do I have in there to anyway, come on in, Bart.
Poor Tag. You think it's okay for a former FBI director to threaten or encourage the assassination of the president? You got some problems, buddy. But anyway, that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about airplanes, Egberto, free airplanes, and also Boeing. If you remember, not too long ago, Mr. Musk had to go and rescue the 2 astronauts off of the space station because NASA couldn't do it. And you said that was Boeing's fault. And I'm wondering why you think that's Boeing's fault. Or what's the deal with Boeing?
All right.
'Cause
First of all, let me tell you how NASA works, because evidently you don't know. All right. NASA is sort of like the clearinghouse of a whole lot of private companies, because we want things privatized. So NASA hire a whole lot of private companies, Lockheed, Boeing, and all these other companies to design and build these rockets, and they compete, etc., to see which one is going to do the best price ratio, etc. That's how NASA works. Now, when Boeing had that capsule that it built, it first of all, it had a whole lot of price overruns. That's what happens in the private sector. Things cost more because they rip you off. It also had technical problems that they didn't solve. Now, SpaceX, there are several other space companies. There's SpaceX, there is Boeing, and I forgot the other one that I think it's run by the guy from Amazon. There are different companies, and 1 out of 3, was successful in doing it. But all the technology that Musk is using is stuff that we created. Musk didn't create absolutely anything that he's working with right now with SpaceX. It's all bought. He's the person who had capital. Now, trying to say that he somehow saved these astronauts, yeah, SpaceX really did go and pick them up, but it wasn't Musk who saved them. It is our technology created and designed by we, the people of the United States, and the engineers that we, the people of the United States, educated, that this South African came and bought because of, well, I won't go into all of that altogether. But that's my answer.
So now Boeing can't even build an airplane, and Trump has to take the gift from Saudi Arabia or whoever.
That's not what the case is at all. No, that's not what the case is. First of all, no. The Saudi Arabia, it's not Saudi Arabian, it's Qatari, and the Qatari plane could not be used as Air Force One. It doesn't have what it takes to be Air Force One. It doesn't have the missiles. It doesn't have the countermeasures. It doesn't have the AMP wiring. It has none of that. So anybody who think that luxury plane that Boeing built for Qatar is going to be the replacement Air Force One, I have a message for you. Anyway, I got to go to Patrick. Thank you, Bart. Come on in, Patrick.
Yeah, that plane matches his apartments in New York. He just wants it for himself. But that's not why I called. I'm hoping Peter is still listening, and I want you to try and invite Peter to the 3 o'clock show. And
okay,
he and I spent about 10 minutes talking about biodiesel.
Yeah. Do you want to make a quick comment about it? Was I right to consider it, as I think I am, fairly green because it's recyclable? Not recyclable. It comes from, it happened before?
No. It definitely depends on how you grow it, but no.
Let's talk about it at 3 o'clock, because there's another. I think Rudnan disagreed with me as well, and I want to give my thoughts and then hear your thoughts to see where I want to land on that one. Okay?
Yes, sir. Sounds great.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one now. Anyway, you too. I don't have the time for 2 important videos, but they can be found at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. 2 good videos. One with the narrative that Bruce Springsteen gave in I think it's Edinburgh. It's in England. I forgot the town in England. Or another piece from Professor Galloway. 2 very important videos. They're at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Now, likewise, we have if you want, let me go to the studio first. Studio, come on in.
Oh, Jack says it was Manchester.
Manchester. I'm getting old, man. What can I say?
No, that's okay. That's okay. I just texted you the information. Well, nothing really here. Brian, you gotta step it up, man. You gotta prove your point. It's not just conjecture. It's not just say, oh, well, they did this. No, you need proof. If you're going to tell the public, and we are telling the public right now because we're on a public radio station, you have to tell the truth and you have to back it up with facts. We do that every day here on Politics Done Right. We'll back it up with facts. They'll say, fact check us, fact check us. Do it. We invite you to. Now, we want to fact check you. So go ahead. Jack, what you got, man? He says nothing, so go ahead and take it home, Egberto.
All right, folks. Look, thank you for listening. And again, like I said, this show is a community radio program. Well, I say community, but our community is not only Houston, it is Texas, it is United States. It's just anybody who's listening to us should have a word. And and I don't care what your ideological bent is. I want us to be talking to each other, because if we're talking to each other, we're not fighting each other. You hear us spar. Brian calls and Brad calls and spar with me all of the times and try to knock me out or whatever. I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I'll sit down and have a cup of coffee and backslap these guys. Not a problem. When we learn that humanity is so much ahead of all the things that we've allowed the plutocracy, the people in power to do to create divisions among us, we'd learn to love each other a little bit better and put the wrath on those really need it. And it's only a few people in this country that need to have the wrath applied to them. And it is those who control our capital. Most of them, not all, but most of them, that's a disease you just can't get enough. The tax cuts that people are getting right now, people that they can't spend the money that they have, but an anachronism within our economic system affords them the ability to have that money, not because of their work, their worth, or their intellect, but because of who they are. Anyway, Howard is about to throw me off, so let me go ahead and get off my soapbox and say love you all, thank you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know what I'm going to say now. I am what? Out.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. After the election of liberal